AI can generate an impressive shot in seconds. The hard part is making the next shot look like it belongs to the same movie, same character, same world, same visual style, one coherent story. That's what we're building in Creator. And in this tutorial series, I'll show you how to do it yourself, from concept to finished episode. Now, let's begin creating the first episode of our show. To do this, we'll open the AI agent. At this stage, it will help us generate both the beat sheet and the script for our episode. But first, let's briefly explain what a beat sheet is and why we need one. A beat sheet is a simple outline of the episode's key story moments. It breaks the story into a sequence of major events, helping us define what happens, in what order, and how the episode progresses before we move on to writing the full script. Now, let's open the agent in orchestration mode and enter a simple prompt. Generate a beat sheet for the first episode. The agent will use the episode description and the relevant information from our show Bible to generate the structure. This may take a little time. Once the beat sheet is ready, we can review it and make sure the story develops the way we want. If everything looks good, we can move on to the next step, generating the script. There are two ways to do this. We can right-click Episode 1 in the entity tree and select Create Script. Or we can ask the agent to generate it for us. For this tutorial, we'll use the second option and enter the following prompt. Generate a script for the first episode using the beat sheet. Again, the generation process may take a little time. Once the script is ready, we can read through it and make any necessary changes. We can edit the text manually directly in the text field, or ask the agent to revise specific parts for us. Before we generate our first storyboard, however, we need to complete one more important step, creating the visual development, or VisDev, for our main character, and using it to create a style lock for the show. The style lock will help us maintain a consistent visual style when we later create VisDev boards for the other characters, locations, and assets in the show. To begin, we right-click our character in the entity tree and select Create VisDev. This takes us to the VisDev page. Let's first go through the settings available here. Overall description contains the character description taken from our show Bible. Aspect ratio controls the proportions of the generated images. I usually prefer to leave this set to auto. Under visual style, we can configure the asset design style, render style, and character shape language. Asset design style defines the visual design language used for generated characters, props, and other assets. Render style controls how the storyboard panels and final video sequences will be rendered. We'll return to the storyboard panels later, once they have been generated. It is usually best to choose matching or compatible options for asset design style and render style. To select a style, simply choose the preferred option from the drop-down menu. Character shape language allows us to influence the character's proportions and overall design language using available visual presets. Under context items, we can add existing VisDev assets as references. This is useful when a new character or object needs to match something we have already designed. For this tutorial, however, we do not need to add any context items. Global Style Reference allows us to upload an external image that the generated VisDev can use as a visual style reference. Under Image Generation, we can select the generation model, image resolution, and the real person similarity check. The similarity check is especially useful when creating commercial or monetized content, as it helps reduce the risk of generating a character who looks too similar to a real person. Linked canvas is not relevant to our current workflow. We would only need this option if the VisDev were going to be used directly inside Canvas. Once all the settings are ready, we click Apply Settings. We can now begin generating the VisDev. In the Describe this board field, we enter a description of our character and click Regen. Once the image has been generated, we review the result. If anything needs to be changed, we can regenerate the board with an updated description or add more specific instructions in the field below. When we are happy with the main character design, the next step is to generate a style sheet. The style sheet provides the model with a much more detailed character reference. It can include a turnaround view of the character, multiple facial expressions, and close-up views of important costume or design details. Once the style sheet is ready, we click the star icon at the top of the board to mark it as the primary VisDev reference. Now that our character reference is ready, we can move on to creating the style lock. Now that we have the VisDev for our main character, we can use it to create a style lock. On the Creator page, open the drop-down menu marked with the wrench icon and select New Style Lock. In the window that appears, select the VisDev board containing our character. For this example, we'll create the style lock using only our main character. However, for better visual consistency, it's usually a good idea to build it from several character VisDev references from your show. Enter a name for the style lock and click Create Style Lock. This takes us to a new page with many of the same settings we saw in the regular VisDev interface. Here, we should select settings that match the ones we used for our main character. This ensures that the style lock follows the same design and rendering choices as the original VisDev. Once everything is configured, click Generate. Creator will use the selected VisDev as the foundation for the show's visual language. It can also generate the additional visual development assets needed for the characters, locations, props, and other elements that appear in the episode. Now we have everything we need to generate our first storyboard. As usual, there are two ways to do this. The first option is to right-click Episode 1 in the Entity tree and select Auto-Generate Storyboard. However, just as before, we'll use the AI agent. Open the agent and enter a simple prompt. Generate a storyboard for Episode 1. This process may take several minutes, so we'll speed it up slightly. Our storyboard has now been generated. Before we explore its tools and settings, let's briefly explain what a storyboard is. A storyboard is a visual plan for an episode. It breaks the script into individual scenes and shots, showing what the audience will see, how the action develops, and how each part of the story should be presented before the final video is generated. Here, we can see a series of panels containing generated images that represent what happens in each video sequence. Each panel may also include information such as the key action, dialogue, context, sequence duration, camera movement, and the position of characters and objects within the frame. This information will later be used by the video model to animate each sequence. We'll return to the panels and their individual settings in a moment. First, let's look at the icons on the left side of the page. These tabs contain the main controls for configuring and refining the storyboard. In the first tab, we can edit the overall description of the episode. We can also select the production format, such as narrative film, episodic series, or commercial. The panel output style determines how the storyboard panels are presented. Depending on the selected genre, we can choose from different directorial or editorial approaches. The default panel mode allows us to decide whether each panel should contain a sequence made up of multiple shots or represent a single shot. The next tab is Creative Direction. Here, we can configure the cinematography, visual references, and style anchors used throughout the storyboard. The available drop-down menus also allow us to choose cinematic references inspired by established visual genres and filmmaking styles. Under Cast and World, we can add references for the characters, locations, props, and other visual assets used in the episode. These references may come from the VisDev assets created automatically by the agent, or from assets that we have added manually. The Structure and Languages tab allows us to configure the structure of the episode and the languages used in it. We won't need to change these settings for our current example. The Image Generation tab is mainly used to select the model and resolution for generating storyboard panel images. The default grid size setting is not relevant to our current workflow, so we'll leave it unchanged. The Video and Audio tab contains settings for the video models, rendering pipeline, timing, and audio workflow. Here, we can manually adjust parameters such as the aspect ratio, frame rate, sequence duration, and dialogue timing. For this tutorial, however, we'll keep the default values. Finally, the Team and Integrations tab allows us to assign team members and link the storyboard to Canvas when necessary. Now, let's take a closer look at the storyboard panels themselves. We can expand any panel to view its main information and generation controls. When we open a panel, the first thing we see is the generated image, along with a set of related settings. Let's go through the most important ones. The Generate New Image section is used to describe a new image that we want the AI to create. Here, we can find the main image description, a separate field for dialogue, camera settings, a cinematic reference, and the sequence duration. Because our storyboard was generated automatically, most of this information has already been filled in for us. The next tab is Subshots. For now, we'll leave these settings unchanged and return to them in a more advanced tutorial. Next, let's open Reference Sheets. Here, we can choose which visual references the panel should use during generation. This is important because automatically generated panels may sometimes include too many references. Providing the model with an excessive number of inputs can reduce the quality and consistency of the result, as the model may struggle to determine which references are most important. The next tab, Make Corrections, is particularly useful. It allows us to manually adjust smaller details in a generated image without regenerating the entire panel. This tool is especially relevant when working in single shot per panel mode. The Video Generator section allows us to select the video model, manage image, audio, and video references, and manually adjust the generation prompt and sequence duration. We won't cover free cam, color correction, flop, or flip in this tutorial, but we'll return to these tools in future advanced guides. Finally, the Notes panel is designed for team collaboration. It allows team members to leave comments, request changes, and keep track of feedback directly within the storyboard. In this part, we created the VisDev for our main character, established a style lock for the show, and generated a complete storyboard for our first episode. We also explored the main storyboard settings and reviewed the controls available inside each panel. In the next part, we'll bring this storyboard to life by generating the animated video sequences. We'll review the results, fix any problematic moments with the Effects segment tool, and prepare the final sequences for editing. After that, we'll move everything into Creator's built-in video editor, assemble the complete episode, and generate a custom soundtrack.
PixieLabs, designed for creators, built for production.